Hi, this is Dr. A. Welcome to Corner of Dr. A, where psychology meets everyday life and ancient wisdom meets modern science. Today, we are diving into a timeless struggle, ego versus inner wisdom. From Freud's theories to neuroscience, from philosophers to fairy tales, we will explore how these forces shape our choices, our relationships, and even our peace of mind. When we talk about the battle between ego and inner wisdom, we are stepping into a conversation that's as old as psychology itself. Sigmund Freud, the father of modern psychology, first mapped the mind into three parts: the id, the ego, and the superego. The ego, in Freud's original model, was the rational part, the decision maker, the one that negotiates between the raw impulses, which is id, and our morals or social rules, which is superego. But over time, the word ego has taken on a different meaning. Today, when we say someone has too much ego, we usually mean pride, stubbornness, or self-importance, the voice that blocks truth and drowns out deeper wisdom. Philosophers long before Freud saw this same tension. Socrates described the daimonion, an inner guiding voice that warned him when he strayed from truth, very much like what we call intuition today. The Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote that reason aligned with nature is our highest guide, but warned that pride and ego easily distort it. In the East, the Upanishads and Buddhist teachings drew a line between the false self, driven by attachments, and the true self, which rests in awareness. Modern neuroscience shows us what this looks like in the brain. Ego is linked to the default mode network, the brain system that switches on when we ruminate, worry, or focus too much on ourselves. The DMN is useful for survival and planning, but when it's overactive, it becomes the voice of judgment, self-criticism, and comparison. By contrast, practices like mindfulness and meditation calm the DMN and strengthen the salience and executive networks, which help us tune into the present moment. That neurological shift from noise to clarity is the brain's footprint of inner wisdom. Psychology also shows how ego twists our thinking through cognitive distortions, catastrophizing, black and white thinking, overgeneralization. So catastrophizing, it's like blowing things out of proportion. For example, instead of saying, "This is stressful," we cry, "I'm dying." The words feed the mind, and the mind starts to believe the exaggeration. Black and white thinking, it's my way or no way. In South Asian homes, this showed up in food. For years, many believed a sweet dish must only be sweet. If someone added a pinch of salt, they were criticized. But chefs later taught us the salt enhances sweetness. Still, rigid thinkers resist overgeneralization. The example is like trying sweeping conclusion from a single event. Fail once, and ego whispers, "I always fail." Get upset at partner, and ego jumps to, "You never listen to me." Words like always, never, everyone give ego a sense of righteousness and superiority, but they block real understanding. Ego loves these distortions because they protect its fragile self-image. But inner wisdom works differently. It doesn't erase ego, it helps us recognize when ego is talking and when something deeper is guiding. It's like tuning a radio, learning to hear the clear signal beneath the static. We often say, "He is so egoistic," or "she has too much ego." What we really mean is that pride blocks them from seeing truth or listening to others. Ego creates a rigid self, fragile yet inflexible. Its opposite is humility. Humility is not weakness. Humble people are grounded. They are secure enough in themselves to stay open to others. That openness lets them see the bigger picture. Ego clings to fragments, treating one piece of the puzzle as the whole truth. This stunts growth. Achievements may pile up, but they remain like trophies on a shelf, external, hollow, rather than milestones of wisdom. We see this clearly in the fairy tale, The Emperor's New Clothes. We all know that story. The emperor, blinded by pride, parades through the street in invisible garments. His people, too afraid to challenge him, Go along with the illusion. Only a child, innocent and free of ego, speaks the truth. The emperor has no clothes. Ego protects its image with illusions. Wisdom humbly sees the reality. And it shows up in everyday life too. A parent argues with a teenager. Ego says, I'm the parent, so I must be right. But inner wisdom says, let me listen first. Maybe I can understand. At work, ego pushes us to defend every small mistake. Wisdom allows us to admit, yes, I was wrong there. Thank you for pointing it out. In relationships, ego insists, if I bend, I will lose. Wisdom whispers, love grows stronger when I admit my limitations. I will give you a metaphor. Imagine your mind as an orchestra. The ego is the trumpet, loud, insistent, demanding attention. Inner wisdom is the conductor, not loud but steady, aligning every instrument into harmony. If you listen only to the trumpet, life becomes noise. When you follow the conductor, the music makes sense. So, how do we nurture inner wisdom and quiet ego? Here are a few practices backed by psychology and neuroscience. Pause before reacting. When someone upsets you, take 3 deep breaths before answering. That tiny pause shifts you from ego's automatic reaction to wisdom's reflection. Humility practice. Each day, remind yourself of something you learned from someone else, especially from someone younger or someone you once dismissed. It keeps your mind flexible. Mindfulness check-in. Notice the inner voice that says, I must win, I can't be wrong. Gently label it, that's ego talking. Then ask, what would wisdom say right now? Gratitude journaling. Write down one thing that you appreciate that you did not control. The weather, someone's kindness, or even a meal. Gratitude naturally shrinks ego and expands perspective. Think of it like a farmer tending his field. Ego demands, where is the fruit? Why isn't it faster? My neighbor's field looks better. Wisdom, on the other hand, says, trust the process. Keep watering, keep nurturing. Growth will come in its own time. Ego wants trophies. Wisdom understands timing. Philosophy tells us inner wisdom has always been there, waiting. Neuroscience shows us how the brain can shift into it. Psychology shows us how reflection opens the door. And Freud reminds us that ego isn't the enemy. It's just one part of us. If this resonated with you, please like, comment, and share. It helps spread these conversations and builds a community of reflection. And I will leave you with this. Ego shouts to protect its image, but wisdom whispers to protect your truth. The art of living is learning which voice to follow. Thank you.